continue to bring educational series without presenting sponsors like Merck, and special thanks to our supporting sponsor, Daiichi Sankyo. They are tremendous supporters of education and sharing information. And so we are so grateful that they support us each and every month. So just giving a little gratitude to our sponsors. And I'm trying to think if there's any other housekeeping. I would love to know if anyone that is here with us today has enjoyed that beautiful Lancaster Farmacy tea that came in your care box when you got your care box, because I know that that is like a staple in my pantry because it's absolutely beautiful. And that comes from our friends at Lancaster Farmacy. So we absolutely love that. Yeah, such a great attendance. Hi, Sheila. I feel free to welcome everyone in the chat. And I think with that, one last reminder before I intro Eli, as always, our speaker series, we do these every month. So look forward to Thursday, July 7th, little shameless plug, 6 p.m. Eastern time. We will be discussing some more important topics bringing to you. So just want to throw that date and time out there. So with that being said, I want to properly introduce our special guest, and I'll bring her on with me for the evening. So Eli Weaver is founder, farmer, herbalist at Lancaster Farmacy. She has been a supporter of Unite for Her for a very long time, has worked very closely with Sue and with our staff, and is such a wealth of information and knowledge about all things herbs, plants. She really is the best of the best. So I am so happy to have you here. And it looks like you're outside and it's not raining, which is like a total blessing. Eli, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be back with you all. And I was reflecting that I think last year we might have met a little bit later in June, but I remember telling everybody, hopefully next year by this time we'll have our own farm. And we have landed our own farm since then. And we're so happy to be on 25 acres in Millersville, if any of you are familiar where that is. It's just right outside of Lancaster City. And I'm very proud to be able to say that we did some planting in the fall, which meant we were able to have some early spring crops. And I am sitting next to this beautiful field. Look at that.
Oh, beautiful.
And, everybody's, I think everybody knows about chamomile, but it often gets a little underrated. Like people think, oh yeah, it's just like the sweet smelling, like sleepy time tea, but chamomile does so many amazing things. And I just was so excited to show everybody this field. If you can see it, we planted this in the fall. So if you have a garden at home, if you plant even seeds or little seedlings in the fall, it'll get to be a huge height. This is, if you see me standing here, it's like,
wow,
waist high.
It's like waist height. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? And we are planting some now, but it will only get maybe a foot or like 2 feet tall. So it's kind of awesome to know certain things like cooler seasons to grow.
I love that.
So
Eli, before you jump in, for those that are not familiar with Lancaster Farmacy, can you give us a little background about the work that you do, what you're growing, how you serve the community? And actually, we were talking before, how you can provide your products to people across the country.
Yes, that's a great question. So we are a community supported agriculture-based program on our farm through Lancaster Farm Fresh Cooperative. And what that means is we really are looking to help people learn more about herbal medicine and do it in a way that's seasonal so they can learn what plants are growing at that time of year and how you can utilize them at home in a very safe, easy way. So we started as more of like a community-based share program, and then we've grown into having our own small like web store to find our individual products that we make. And we also grow some produce and flowers at our farm, and that helps kind of sustain the farm overall. So we do many different things, but my passion really came from education and teaching people about how to empower themselves to use herbs for their own natural healing. So that's a little bit of the background. What was the other question, Erin?
Just the different ways and the different products and things. So many people have commented how much they love your tea, how much they love the healing salve. but you provide so much more than that to the community.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we're trying to make things that are useful for folks every day, but also for more specific things. So we were so happy to partner with Unite for Her, knowing how many people were getting relief from things like our healing salve, which are super safe and natural and wonderful, restoring, you know, all kinds of skin issues. And then also the teas have always been a passion for us because to be able to grow the herbs and then dry them and then process them and blend them, I just feel like the potency is so much stronger, and you can almost see the difference when you're drinking a tea that's, you know, grown and not like sitting in a warehouse and flown, you know, thousands of miles away. It's like, you know, from our farm to your mug. And we've been so happy to also kind of formulate a special blend, which is the Totally Tulsi for Unite for Her, knowing that trying to find herbs that will best aid everybody who is going through treatment, and thinking about, you know, herbs can work in so many different ways, whether it's, you know, for physical, emotional, or, you know, just basic topical health.
That's wonderful. We did have one question that came through already. Just for a little bit of clarification, is the Lancaster Farmacy connected to the Lancaster Farm Sanctuary, or are they just similar names?
Well, they are similar names. There's a lot of farms in Lancaster, and yeah, I mean, we love the work they're doing, but we actually do not do anything with animals on our farm. And Lancaster Farm Sanctuary is specifically dedicated to rescuing animals that need sanctuary, that have been abused.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So everybody check out Lancaster Farm Sanctuary. They are doing great work. Yes.
Good. We love supporting our neighbors.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, we'll let you get on with the tour.
Yeah. So I'm going to just walk around and show everybody different plants. And I think what I'm going to do is just say a few things about what those plants do and some of the products that we use them in. But chamomile, since I'm walking in the chamomile field, we use in our Tranquility, which is a blend that has herbs all for creating a tranquil experience. So things that are good for the nervous system. So it has chamomile, it has holy basil, which you all might be familiar with in the Totally Tulsi. It has milky oats, California poppy, all these wonderful herbs that help support the nervous system. And what's really neat is I'm walking us up to the California poppy patch, and it's hard to see, but it's been raining here. So the poppy flowers are a little bit closed now, but it's such a beautiful plant. And so what we do is harvest this whole plant plus the roots. And then we use this in our de-stress elixir, which is, and an elixir is, basically we're capturing the potency of the herbs in a liquid. So, and those liquids can either be grain alcohol based or glycerin based. And in our de-stress elixir, it's a combination of grain alcohol and glycerin. And so anyways, we use holy basil, California poppy, chamomile flowers. I might be, lemon balm's probably in there. So we love having all those calming herbs mixed together. So an elixir is something as a liquid you can drop into your water and drink it that way. Obviously a tea, you're going to infuse and make a tea, but I always tell people when it gets hot out, you can make iced teas with herbal tea. And it's such a great way to replenish the body, especially when you're exhausted or just, you know, feeling like you need to be hydrated.
I remember when you shared that with us last year, Eli, and that is something that I do. And I share our women. So when they're like, I'm tired of water, I want something different, I'm like, make that herbal tea and have it as a cold beverage. It's so hydrating. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you're doing, I mean, yeah, it's like, why not add some extra benefits to the water we're drinking? So yes, I know it's sometimes almost just like you're taking your vitamins, but they taste good. Yeah. And you know, in tea. Now I know this one isn't medicinal, but it's so beautiful. Do you all see this?
Wow.
This is a batch. It's also called cornflower. Anyways, this will go into our bouquets. We make flower bouquets on a weekly subscription basis through Lancaster Farm Fresh Cooperative. So people can get beautiful flowers all season long, and they're chemical-free flowers, flowers that have not been sprayed with chemicals nor flown from, you know, many, many thousands away. And you all let me know if I'm making you dizzy, but I'm walking down some of the fields here just to show you around.
Yeah.
I think last time we had flowers and herbs, so I'm just going to show you both.
Yeah, we would love to see everything. And
Yeah.
as you're walking, Eli, we had another question.
Sure.
One of our attendees said she got a tea for GERD or for reflux. What is that? It really worked, and she'd prefer to take that versus meds.
So was this a tea that she got through us, or I'm just curious if she's trying to
I'm not
find the
sure.
name.
So Suzanne, if you want to come off of mute and share a little bit about if it was one of the ones from Lancaster Farmacy or that you've gotten somewhere else, we'd love to know.
Well, yeah, and it was from the pharmacy. I believe it was in the Unite for Her box. So
Okay. Well, that makes me think it would be the Totally Tulsi, which is good for, you know, all digestive upset. So did it have like a basil like flavor?
you know, I don't even remember now because I was like, oh, I have to find out. I mean, I liked it.
Well, I'm glad you liked it, and I'd love to know which one worked well for you for that.
And what was it called?
Totally Tulsi. And I feel like that's the one we've been doing most with Unite for Her. So I would imagine that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have that a lot. Yeah, it's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
So I'm sitting here in, do you all recognize what that plant is?
I would love it if someone knew. I have.
This
that
is
garlic?
Yeah, good answer. Now this is going to probably come, if any of you get the food share through Lancaster Farm Fresh, we'll be getting bunches of
garlic
these.
scapes.
Yeah,
we
garlic
did.
Scapes.
That's really funny. Actually, in our CSA Tuesday video, Michelle talked about garlic scapes.
Okay. They're so delicious. And what I love is then you don't have to wait until, you know, late summer, early fall to eat your garlic. You can eat fresh scapes, which have the same flavor as garlic, and it has a really cool texture. Some people pickle them. Anyways, we're growing 10 different kinds of garlic, and we planted that in the fall. So it's nice that we have this crop growing right now, because normally, you know, you have to plan 6 months in advance to when you're going to harvest garlic. So it's starting to rain a little bit heavier now. So I'm going to walk to another area where there's something really special flowering. And then I thought maybe I'll go in the greenhouse and show you all the little seedlings, and I can show you some of the products. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great. And any tips for growing? If anyone that's here wants to learn a little bit about if they want to plant some of their own favorite herbs, when they might want to get them in the ground, some kind of tips. I mean, we're all kind of in the growing spirit with like the start of summer and plants coming up. So I feel like anything you can share as the expert would probably be very welcomed.
Yes, no, so I'd say the tip with the last two things, actually the last three things I just talked about, all the things you saw, the chamomile, the California poppy, the bachelor buttons, even garlic, are all things that like to be sown in the fall. So if you can get seeds and you have a spot in your garden, you can put the seed down and then they'll come up. They like love the cool temperatures and the fluctuation and the cool spring. Like we did have to sow some of those seeds in the spring, like because the California poppy, I think we put that on the ground in February, and I'm really happy that it's coming up right now. Now, if we had planted it in the fall, it might be twice as big and have come earlier. So those are all considered cool season herbs and flowers. But I want to show everybody this beautiful patch. Can you see this sweet yellow flower?
Yeah.
So this plant is Arnica, and I'm just think it's so cool to see Arnica, which most people know about. And if you don't know about it, Arnica is like the kind of go-to natural pain relief if you've had a sprain or a bruise.
Yeah, it works great.
Natural anti-inflammatory. And we infuse this. We don't use it internally, but we infuse this in oils that then we make into, we have an ache away salve that we make. And this is a perennial, so this will come back every year. So I'm just so happy to see these sweet Arnica flowering.
I love that. So when you harvest that, when you're infusing, and I'm sure this is different per plant, but are you really using just the flower? Are you using the leaves and the stem, the roots, or does it vary?
Yep. That's a really good question. So with something like calendula oil, we're only using the flowers. I don't think there's much activity in the leaves of that plant. Now, something like Arnica, we will use when it's flowering, but I'll also add the leaves just because I feel like it's such a short-lived herb that has benefits in the leaves and flowers. So I would infuse kind of more like the aerial parts of that plant.
Okay.
And I'm trying to, and then in case anybody's wondering about infusing oils, it's almost like if you were making a cooking oil and wanting to infuse the flavor of rosemary or garlic, you would just on very low heat, or you can do what's called a solar infusion. Slowly heat the oil, and that will help to extract the oils of the plant that you're wanting to infuse. And what's really awesome is fat soluble plants. So there's certain plants that do really well with extracting through fatty substances. So oil is considered one of those, like butters, you can infuse oils or herbs into. And then other herbs, when we make tinctures or elixirs or glycerites, these are liquids that are more liquid soluble, if that makes sense. And tea is more considered just a water soluble form of using herbs because it's either a fresh or a dried plant material that we're using hot water to extract. And so it's so cool to think about, there's all different ways to extract the properties of a plant. So whether it's fats and oils or liquids, or, and those liquids can be alcohol, glycerin, or water. So I kind of like to always think of them in these different ways you can use them. And I just wanted to show you all this this is just kind of another colorful spot on the farm right now. But we planted lots of snapdragons, which are coming up.
Wow, they're beautiful.
They're so tall because they're in a tunnel. And then this plant here, I wish you could smell it. This is stock, which is like a kind of not an old fashioned kind of flower that has this really sweet perfume that I feel like reminds me of my grandmother. So yeah, we have pretty stock flowers growing in the tunnel. And I'm going to go hop over to our greenhouse where I have some of the seedlings to show you. Like, I'd love for you to see holy basil as a baby before it goes out in the field.
Do you always start, and we have a few questions just about growing that I'll get to.
Yeah.
But will you always start your plants indoors versus outdoors? Or I guess not if you're putting some in the fall in the ground.
So that's a really good question. There's like all different methods, and they can all work. And certain plants like treated differently than others. So the ones I was talking about earlier, those are happy to be planted in the fall and don't need to be started in a greenhouse or any indoor anything. They actually like it cold and moist. But then so the things I showed you in that tunnel with the flowers, we did start those as little plugs that we started in a heated greenhouse. And then we put them in a tunnel, and the tunnel kind of helps get a jump start on growing. So those snapdragons, if I grew them in just open fields, they would be half the size they are now. So it's kind of fun with a tunnel. You get a quick, bigger, version of the plant. I hope that answers the question. But most everything else, we start as little plug trays. So this, if you can see that one, this is holy basil, which is the main attraction and ingredient in Totally Tulsi. So holy basil's nickname, it's just also referred to in Ayurvedic medicine as Tulsi. And so it's the same thing, holy basil. Some people call it sacred basil, and its origin is from India. And I just took one out of the tray. But this is a really healthy looking seedling. It's not root bound, and I'll be planting this probably next week. And it's already starting to flower, so it really wants to go on the ground. This one we use in so many things. Our tea, it's in the Tranquility, it's in the Totally Tulsi. We also use this in our de-stress elixir. And I'm standing next to, I'm just going to kind of show you, and Erin, you give me a time check when if I'm talking too much about anyone.
No, you're good. You're good.
This one is so beautiful and smells amazing. This is rose geranium. And most people are probably familiar with, ornamental geraniums that we, plant in flower pots and, whatnot. They're ornamental and gorgeous, but there's a whole family of scented geraniums. So there's lemon, rose, I think there's a chocolate, there's all different scents of geranium. But we, in the herbal world, love rose geranium for many reasons. One is that it's considered a really wonderful skin cleansing herb and tonifying to the skin. And it's also a natural bug repellent. So we will we'll extract the oils from this plant and use it in a bug spray. And I actually love our natural bug spray because we use things like lemongrass and rose geranium and mint, or even rosemary herbs that have a lot of smell to them already, usually are a deterrent to pesky insects. But I wanted to show you another thing that we make, which is our hydrosols. And so this is, I'm going to walk over to one other spot on the farm where we distill our herbs. So we are currently distilling chamomile to make a hydrosol. And a hydrosol is the byproduct of making essential oils. So most people are familiar with essential oils. And I like to always say that essential oils can actually be a little bit dangerous because they're so potent and they can burn your skin. So the next best, to me, the best thing is using hydrosols, which is more like a floral water where you've extracted the elements and the oils from the plant, but it's steam distilled. So it's more, it's a little bit more diluted. You're getting the essential oil, but it's not so condensed. And so anyways, I wish you could smell this, but you just spritz on your skin, and it's amazing after a shower or a bath, or when you're feeling really hot. I love spraying myself with this during COVID. I mean, we're still kind of in COVID. It was just so nice to spray my face before putting a mask on or taking it off, and just, you feel your skin responds very well to the herbs that are in
I love
the
that.
hydrosol. Now it might sound really loud because the rain's coming down much harder now. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. And actually, we had a few questions that came through. If you want to take a couple minutes just to answer,
Yes,
we've got some really good questions. So real quickly, the plant that you just showed us, one person commented that it looks like citronella. Is it related?
Yes, it is. And I wish I could tell you the full Latin name of rose geranium, but it is, yes, it is related to citronella. Sorry, I can't tell you the exact species and family, but it's similar in that it has that really strong smell and it deters bugs.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know. We did have, as you kind of move through, if there's any herbs that you want to point out that are good for perimenopause or menopause, we had a question about that as well.
Okay, great. So, what's amazing is for all stages of a woman's cycle, whether it's, pre or like our bleeding years or, post-menstrual years, the herbs that I feel like every woman should use are things like raspberry leaf, which is a very tonifying and nourishing herb for the uterus. And then there's also nettles, stinging nettles. You know what I'm going to do? I just walked into our barn so I could hear better. I'm going to walk out when the rain gets a little bit less and show a picture of stinging nettles. And a lot of people know stinging nettle as burn hazel, but that's just such a wonderful, replenishing, nourishing herb. And I feel like women, like I said, at all stages should be using these very, very nourishing herbs that will help replenish the adrenal system and also help provide nourishment, like in, the form of minerals, like calcium and magnesium. So those are my two favorites, nettles and raspberry leaf. There's also things like oat straw, our nourishment tea, which we make, pretty much has all these herbs in it, but we also added mint because we know that sometimes people are pretty bored when they have to drink a tea and it doesn't taste like anything. So nettles and raspberry leaf and oat straw all really don't taste like much. I kind of appreciate the flavors. They have earthy flavors, but it's nice to add it to something that has a tasty flavor. So nourishment is my go-to. I'm always just, even for women, when they're breastfeeding, it helps with lactation. It's just amazing how herbs can work at all different stages of your life, but specifically for the reproductive system.
We love that. And we did have one clarification. Is that how you prefer that those particular herbs are used as a tea, or could you get them in any kind of form?
That's a really good question. So they could be used in a tincture. When they travel, it's harder to make tea because if you don't have access to hot water or whatever. So yes, you could take those herbs as a tincture form, which would be in grain alcohol, and drop those into water and drink them. But I just think if you have the ability to make tea and then just make a batch, that sometimes I like to make a quart at a time of that and then just drink that again as kind of like an iced tea. Such a good replenishing tea for your system, and it's cooling with the mint, but then you're also like, I just always think I get adrenal exhaustion when I'm sweating and I'm hot and I'm just, you just need a little bit of extra support. Those herbs are great to work with.
I love that. Another question, is holy basil related to regular basil? Are they in the same family?
So the Latin name is Ocimium floreum, and I believe that other common basils are in the Ocimium family, in the Latin family. I'm not the best scientific, name person, but I believe, yes, they are definitely related. But holy basil, also known as Tulsi or sacred basil, just has a very different flavor, and you wouldn't necessarily want to cook with it. Things like Genovese basil or Italian basil, those are more of the culinary basils, or Thai basil. Yeah.
Things that we are more accustomed, I think, to seeing from a food perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We did have one question that about garlic in general. So Kristen bought some garlic to grow. She put them in containers. Any tips? They're garlic cloves. So any tips for growing? And just in terms of when to harvest the garlic scapes, and does that affect the growth of the cloves? So those are really interesting questions.
Yeah, those are all great questions. So I'm assuming it sounds like, was this garlic that maybe was planted this spring or in the fall? It can be grown either season. It will get a bigger bulb, the bulb of the. So what's cool about garlic is the cloves that we eat when we're preparing food are considered the seed of the garlic bulb. First time I learned that, I was like, that's so amazing. Those are the seeds. It will produce its own flower and little tiny seeds that it can be propagated from, but really the best way to grow garlic is from the bulb cloves. So that's what we plant in the fall. The bulb gets much bigger that way. Some people do get it in the ground in the spring, and that's fine. It's a little bit smaller. And then the garlic scape is the first thing so the garlic goes dormant over the winter, but it's hopefully set its little root feet down in the ground in the fall when you plant it. And then it's dormant through the winter. And then come early spring, it starts to send its leaves up. And after it gets like probably 4 sets of leaves, then it starts to push its flower head, and that's called the garlic scape. So basically it's pushing up this stalk that will then open up with a flower. And you know what? The rain just let up, and I'm going to walk out and show you the garlic scape. But basically it's trying to go to flower, and you don't want that to happen because you want your big bulb of garlic. And so if you let it flower, it's going to send all its energy up to the top of the plant and not to the base of the plant where you want the bulb to be growing. So we actually, I've always been told you just cut the scape off and you eat it. And then probably in about another few weeks after the scape has been cut, the energy has gone down to the bulb, it's maturing. You would then harvest the bulb after all the leaves on the garlic have died back. So you'll notice your plant just starts to look pretty sad, like the leaves aren't green anymore. I'm just going to show this plant here. So here is a nice big healthy garlic plant, and I'm talking, see how this scape, and if you look closely, that's where the flower would open up and form. But what we'll do is we'll break, or you can even pull these out of look at this. This is so cool. But, whoop, you see, so that's a big long stalk. So what's great is you can eat this whole plant. You can chop it up and use it like garlic, but then it also is like kind of a tasty green too. So it's huge and they're fun. So you can eat this. And I should also say garlic's very medicinal. I'm sure most people know it has, if you're always feeling a little bit under the weather, just chewing on a little bit of raw garlic or just preparing it in more food. It has antiviral, antimicrobial, antibacterial benefits, and even antifungal. So we haven't made it recently, but we used to make a ear oil that had garlic, plus some sesame oil and mullein flowers, which is also great for fighting ear infections. And you can also make a garlic oil for like, foot fungus, like really gross things like that, like ringworm or, fungal issues on the skin. So I hope that answers the question.
And Kristen said she bought the cloves, the bulbs today, but she hasn't planted them yet. So that'll be a fun project.
So definitely put them in the ground as soon as you can. And they do like to be mulched, having some moisture stay around them. They're not going to be happy if they're just, bare soil.
Okay, wonderful. Just going back to the hydrosol that you were spraying, topical use only?
Topical only. Well, no, I take that back. You can drink hydrosols. It's super cool. I used to drink a holy basil hydrosol. So you can get medicinal benefits just by drinking it. So it's almost like you'd think of it as a tea infusion because you're drinking the steam distillates of the plant. It's really great. So it's something that is so precious to us that we don't consider it something to drink, but you definitely could.
Okay. And would you dilute it? Would you add it to some water or something, or could you just have it on its own?
Just on its own, because it's really, you've captured, I'm going to actually walk us back to the barn where my still was set up. So I could show you our copper still where we make our hydrosols, but it's, we were talking about maybe, do you have to dilute it? No, it's all the steam from the plant. So for us, if we run our still for about 6 hours, I'll yield like a gallon of hydrosol, and that will have the most amazing scent of chamomile. And it's not dangerous to drink. It's steamed. Basically, you're capturing the steam of the plant. And so I've never heard of anybody saying, it's too potent. I feel like it's just captured enough of the essential oils to have the flavor and the medicinal benefit. And I'm wanting to show everybody our still, which is set up here. It's this beautiful copper pot. If you can see that. This beautiful onion shape here. So we put the plant material in the base of this vessel, and then we heat the water very slowly, and it starts to percolate, and then it comes up this channel here, and then this is our condenser right here. So we have to chill the water, and the heat coming out, the steam coming out from the big vessel comes through the coils, and then it starts to sweat. And then we get look at this blue. Do you see the blue of this tube?
Yeah.
This is chamomile. If you've ever used a chamomile product, that's a skin product, it has this blue oil to it. And so it's just amazing to think from that pretty little daisy like flower, it has this amazing blue colored hydrosol. And so anyways, I'm trying to see if we might have already packed up our, I don't have the jug of the finished hydrosol, but it is this gorgeous cobalt blue, which is so incredible. Most herbs usually have like a greenish tint, or maybe a little, just like, they kind of all come in different colors. But the scent really is right there. You're just like, wow, that's chamomile, and it's super, super floral.
And how long does that whole distillation process, how long does that last, or how long does that go on for?
I would say 6 hours is usually the time that we run it to get the full batch, that we would yield what we need from that batch of herbs that we put into that vessel. But we're using a lot of ice to cool the condenser down the whole time. So we use a lot of ice to make hydrosol.
Wow. That's amazing. That's incredible. Another tea question that came up, actually a couple. So the stinging nettles, is that the component in the nettle tea?
Yes, it's the same thing. So stinging nettle is sometimes just referred to as nettles. Some people call it burn hazel, but we do use nettles in many of our teas because it's such a wonderful herb that is a base for everything. In my opinion, it's just good. It's just good for your skin, for your digestive system, for your adrenal system, for it's just, I always nickname it nature's pharmacy plant. Like, it's just has everything we should be consuming. It even has vitamin C. It's incredible. So yes, nettles is the same thing as stinging nettles. And I forgot to show you the stinging nettle plant. So I'm walking out here. It's funny. I think this is rainbow weather because now the sun is shining, but it's still raining right where I am.
Oh, I hope we get to see a rainbow. That would be great.
I know. I'll put that on the video if I see it. So I'm walking over to our nettle patch, which if anybody, lives near a creek side or, goes walking in the woods, this plant likes to grow in this kind of habitat, which is, along a creek bed. And I'm hoping you can see it. This is stinging nettle, and it's this plant here is about to go to seed. So these little hairs here are forming seed. Now, what's cool about nettle seed is that is its own medicine in itself. Like this is the whole plant. We use the stem and the leaves. You can eat this plant. Usually like the top, like 4 inches you can eat. But what we do is we harvest this and dry as much nettle as we can in the spring when it's growing. Because like I said, it's just such a good herb for everything. We don't use it topically, and we don't make oils from it. It's pretty much just like an internal medicinal herb that we use in our teas, as well as some of our tinctures and tonics. I think, did I answer the nettle question?
Yeah, definitely. And just, all of the different teas that you make, generally, are they pretty safe to consume even alongside taking some Western medicines?
So that's always, if somebody is just concerned. I mean, I personally feel like our teas are so gentle that I feel safe if, any of my family members were to take, if they were on prescription medicine, could still be drinking our teas. I would say that sometimes prescription medicine can lessen the effects of herbs when you're using them because they are so gentle and, not as strong as prescription medicine can be. So I just always like to say, ask your doctor, just consult with one of your practitioners if you're wanting to use any kind of herb on a more regular basis. But I always say it's really hard to overdose on herbal medicine because, you would have to take something like 8 times a day if you were drinking tea, if you wanted to actually feel like, oh, I'm potentially taking too much of this. But typically, a dose of, tea, even 3 times a day, is still very, very mild, but still going to have an effect on your body if you use it regularly. And what was another one? I would say there's a few herbs out there that have contraindications to medicines, but and I couldn't tell you, oh, this herb is going to affect you this way, because everybody is different. But we really avoid herbs that have any kind of potential for problems or toxicity. There's kind of herbs to stay away from and only use for very specific conditions. And there's just hundreds out there that are very multi-purpose and safe herbs to work with.
That's wonderful. And always sage advice, speaking to your medical team. But like you said, if you're consuming teas on a regular normal amount, like you said, up to 3 times a day, even, your teas are just so safe, just so gentle. We can feel good about that. We did have a wonderful question from Alex, one of our Unite for Her staff. So, her 5-year-old wants to know if you're growing red purple dead nettle.
Oh, wow. Look at this. This is maybe a plant that I need to be taught about. Red purple. Oh, I know what we're talking about. Red purple dead net. She said dead nettle. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like we about 2 weeks ago had, it kind of grows as a weed, and I wish I had a picture of one to share with you, but it does come out everywhere in the spring, and it's kind of considered a weed, but it is edible. And I'm going to look around to see if I can find any, but I think
Alex
it's
said she had to look it up when her daughter,
that's so great. Her daughter knows about it. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I love that. Weeds. I mean, when you're into herbalism, you end up appreciating your weeds, like dandelion. You're like, oh, that's so good for you. It's good for the liver. You should eat the leaves. You can eat the root. And dead purple nettle is like one of those. You can eat it. It doesn't have a lot of flavor, but it's really good for you. It does not have the stingers like stinging nettle has, which is good news. And I just have to show you this plant. Can you all see this plant right here?
Yeah.
So this is plantain, and plantain is an amazing skin healing herb. You can also use this one internally, and it's a weed that most people hate because it's usually grows where there's compacted soil. So this is kind of where our compost pile is, and there's weeds growing over it. We have weeds at our farm. Anyways, so plantain kind of likes to grow in these little clumps. And anyways, what's so great about this plant is that you can, not sure if we've ever talked about poultices before, but some plants you literally can just mash up. You kind of are breaking down the cell walls. So whether you use that with a mortar and pestle, or you take a blender, or you can do something as simple as chewing it. Like I'm gonna chew it, and you get this is the best for any buddy who's around people who get stung by bees, which we're entering bee season here. You can chew it up, and you make a little paste, and you put it on the spot that you got your sting or your bite or whatever insect, and it really helps to draw the inflammation and the sting out of the skin, and it's incredible. So it's there's several different nicknames for it. One is called snake bite, because traditionally this was used to remove, venomous snake venom. You can use this, again, like I said, for bee stings and any kind of burns. So similar to how calendula heals skin burns, plantain can also have that cooling effect and also help to heal burns in general. So I love to just take a walk and see how many awesome plants there are growing just in, a weedy area.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, and we did have one inquiry as you're sort of walking around, checking out what's around you. We did have someone that wanted to know if you did tours. I wasn't sure what the status of what you're doing. If someone wanted in the area, they wanted to come out and see.
Yes. So I would tell them to see, now that we have our own farm, I can welcome people and we can organize tours. So, this is we're really in the baby stage of just moving into this place. So I always like to give a disclaimer, we're kind of like figuring out how much we can do and when we can do it. But I definitely want to offer tours this year. And I would encourage you to go to our website and just fill out, there's a contact section in the website. And you can just submit an inquiry or send us a note or even sign up for our newsletter. Yes, definitely get in touch with us that way, because it would be so fun to walk people around, and any time of year, there's going to be so many great things to see. So I always encourage, if you want to do that, maybe invite a few other friends. And, I can, if it's like an organized tour thing, we can do like an hour tour, and there would be a small donation to the farm that we would request. But yeah, we would love to have people out.
That would be so fun. And what a fun little adventure out, and so motivating. And just to kind of, nature is so healing in and of itself. And even like hearing the birds behind you, I'm like, oh, it sounds so amazing.
We're very lucky. And I really want to share this with other people. So I would love to have Unite for Her out here in any capacity. So yes, we are excited to welcome you.
Yeah, we might have to, I see some people that are already raising their hand to schedule a little tour. So we might have to get permission slips and come on out to the farm. It would be so much fun.
So fun. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I love that. Maybe the next time we'll have to plan our speaker series in person, and we'll do in person and virtual. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yes. Well, one of the wonderful elements of this farm is that there's a restored tobacco barn that was built in the late 1800s that the former owners had renovated. And we are so excited to host events. So I think we'll be able to host up to, 75 to 100 people at a time if we want. We don't need to do that right away, but we're just so excited to have an indoor space also to do more workshops and classes and hands-on demos. And, we could make a product in the kitchen, because we have the facility to do that. So we're always, all we had was the land to grow the things on. So now we're so happy to have spaces where we can bring people in and show how we make everything.
We love that. We absolutely love that. And so for those, why don't you share, for those, that are local, we know that, they could participate in the local CSA, but even if you are coming and visiting us as part of our national program, they also have access to a lot of your pharmacy products.
Yes. Well, we've been so happy to participate in the Her Box. I just think it's the coolest thing ever. But we do now offer most of the products we make through our CSA, our herbal medicine share. We now put those on our website. So if you wanted to get specific products from us, you could find them on our website. And we do shipping twice a week. So things typically get to people, within a week from when you order. So yes, please go check our things out. And it helps so much to have, the support from all over. When we love mailing packages to California, or, like mother-in-law saying, oh, I'm sending this to my daughter in Colorado. Like, it just makes us so happy to know all of our things are helping people, and that then we can share them, further than just Lancaster County. So yes, we're so happy that we can do that.
I love that. And I know at one point, some of your products I saw were sunscreen or sun protectants. Are you still offering that? Is that something that's still available? Because I always think, that's also like top of mind right now. I mean, it was, in the hundreds where we are.
Oh, it was terrible.
So hot. So we're thinking sunscreen. Is that something that's still available?
It's so funny. It's a point of contention on our products team, because it's difficult to make. It's very time consuming to make, but I think it is such an excellent product. So I'm going to say yes. We're going to probably have that made in the next couple of weeks here, because we're entering summer solstice. So yes, I love natural skincare, and especially with having some SPF that goes with that. And it's called Sun Shield. We do have non-nano zinc oxide in there, as well as raspberry seed oil and carrot seed oil, which have natural SPF, as well as shea butter. So it's amazing. We really, Sue's told me we need to get it tested to know the exact SPF, but I just always know that with all of those combined, I have for years been using it without burning, and I have very fair skin. So I always say it's family approved. Like, we don't burn in our family because I do make sure to use it. And it's a cream base. So a little goes a long way. It's not like a lotion or a spray. It's more like and it honestly is a moisturizer. I love putting it on because my skin feels so soft and I don't break out and I can still breathe. But I will say natural sunscreens, you have to reapply more like every 4 hours. You can't just put it on and think that's it. So yeah, we will be making our sun shield. And then we also offer the bug spray, which is a natural bug spray. And I'm just a big fan of always using calendula oil as a way to restore, any sun exposure. We love hearing all the testimonials from all the women using healing salve as well as calendula oil, because it's calendula based, for healing from radiation burns. It's just wonderful hearing the stories from everybody about how it's helped them. So we're big fans of the skin products. And I always say, if you can't eat the ingredients and what you're putting on your skin, you probably don't want to put it on your skin, because our skin is the most absorbent organ in the body. So it's like everything we're putting on it, we should think about, it's just like food, we're absorbing it.
Yeah, I love that. And you have just such amazing products on your website, like a little, things for everything, for, the chest rub, the bath soak. We are our whole staff are in love with healing salve. And I know for me, I'm always ordering it and sending it in the winter. It's like in my car for my hands. It's at my bed table. It's in my, I equate it to like my chapstick. I have multiple everywhere. And then I also have my healing salve, because you're right. Happy. Like, you can use it everywhere. It's really wonderful. And you're right. A little goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm the same way. I'm like, I always make sure I have a tin somewhere close to me, and I use it for everything. And also for my child, it's like the boo-boo salve for everything. So it's great to have something that's like all purpose like that. So I've been really happy that we've been able to get more of our products onto our website so people can easily get them.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, if anyone has any last minute questions or comments they want to share with Eli, hopefully you learned a thing or two and just learned a little bit more about all of the benefits from Lancaster Farmacy, how you can bring them into your home. Like I said, she is such a wealth of knowledge and an expert truly in her field. So we're so happy to have her as part of our community. So feel free to put any questions or comments or come off of mute. Those links we did put in the chat. So you can access the medicinal share and just check out all the products that they have to offer.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah, absolutely. We had one other question. Do you recommend we save the seeds from the herbs they grow to replant the following year? That's a great question.
It is a great question. So yeah, I would always encourage people to save their seed. Now, some plants you can save the seed from, and others you can't. If it's considered a hybrid, you wouldn't be able to save the seed, but something like holy basil that we plant, we do save our own seed from. The chamomile seed, calendula seed. I mean, pretty much most of the medicinal herbs that we grow here that are considered annuals or even perennials, you definitely can save those seeds. There's a couple plants we don't ever get seed from, like rosemary and the geranium, even lemongrass, because they just never mature to the maturity of making seeds. So we always have to kind of buy new seeds in for those, or like little plugs from other nurseries. But most everything else, yes, it's possible to save the seed. And I think that's such a great thing that we should all start to learn how to do more of, because we shouldn't always expect we can go to the store and buy our seeds. We saw that through the pandemic. It was very scary to realize that a lot of our seed suppliers went out of stock of seed. And I had a moment where I was like, what would we do if we can't get the seeds that we rely on getting in? And so it's definitely made me want to start to save more seed, regardless of, just it's a motivation to try to sustain our future more by saving seeds.
Yeah, it's that whole sustainability, I think, mindset that we're all leaning into for a lot of different reasons. So I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great
And
advice.
we did do some seed packets with Unite for Her. That was fun. I remember we did
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We
So
did
we'll
a whole
have to,
planting.
we'll have to do maybe before next spring, now that we're like at our new farm. It'd be fun if we had a seed packet collection for, seeds we've saved that then you can start to save at your garden. That would be fun.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
We'll have to remember that for next spring for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. You are getting so many thanks in the chat. Everyone is loving the presentation,
Thank
the
you, everybody.
information you shared. Yeah, very, very appreciative of just, like we said, sharing your farm with us. So we very much appreciate it. And I can say, probably speaking for all of us, we are so happy for you that you have your own farm, your own space, and we look forward to seeing you grow and being a part of it, being along for the ride.
It's, it's all like, I feel like we couldn't have done it without each other. So I feel so appreciative that we've teamed up all these years, and that, we can grow more and that we can reach more people. And I'm just so appreciative for all of you, and just recognize all the difficult journeys that people have had in their own healing process and treatment, and just think it's amazing what the body can do when we support it. So just want to say we're just so happy.
I mistimed it, damn it.
Is it almost over?
Yeah.
Oh, we hear a little background. That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I will pop on with you. We want to thank everyone for being here with us for our speaker series. If you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to me. I will pass them along to Eli. Anything that you think of after the presentation, because of course she is such a wealth of knowledge. So thank you so much for joining us for our speaker series this evening. We got through even with the rain.
Yes.
And as always, thanks to our sponsors who are so supportive of our educational series. Thanks to Merck, thanks for Daiichi Senko. You will see this video on our Her library likely this week or weekend, so you can come back and just listen again to everything Eli is sharing. But with that, we will conclude our speaker series.